information gets spirited away to CCP agents directly into the Chinese military industrial complex. And Mr. Singleton,
What you're about to watch is a moment from a Senate hearing focused on foreign influence inside American universities. In this exchange, a senator raises concerns about funding, research partnerships, and whether foreign governments, particularly China, could be gaining access to sensitive academic work. The discussion centers on national security, academic transparency, and the balance between international education and protecting research institutions. Here's how that conversation unfolded.
Asking all their questions of another Florida Gator.
So excited you finally got on board inviting a genius from the University of Florida. As a proudly educated Gator, I have made it my mission as one of the newest senators to be the first, to get the most Go Gators on the official record at hearing. I think I'm up to close to 10 by now. Thank you and welcome. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing to examine a really concerning truth that many of our universities have been infiltrated by foreign interests. And the hearing where we are specifically talking about malign foreign influence on our universities, I think is incredibly important. I've heard it come up a lot, and I know a lot of people are familiar with the Confucius Institutes, which kind of took embedded in universities really under our noses before people started waking up and figuring out what was going on, that they were in fact a vehicle for CCP influence and propaganda operations in the United States. And as Mr. Singleton said, I'm so proud of my state. We lead in many ways. This is one of them. When I was Attorney General in Florida, we outlawed these institutes from our state. And many other states followed suit, and I am hoping the few that are remaining, they wake up and really dig in and see what's going on. We also prohibited our universities from taking any kind of money or research personnel from countries of concern like China, Iran, and at the time, Venezuela. So important to stay on top of these things. One of the things I think our state does well is we're very proactive in making sure we are rooting out this kind of influence.
And this is where the hearing starts to shift from general concerns to specific allegations. The senator begins pointing to financial ties between major universities and foreign funding sources, arguing that large research grants could open the door to outside influence. Supporters of this view say transparency is essential to protect national security, while critics often warn that restricting academic collaboration could affect research and international education.
But besides organizations like the Confucius Institute, foreign government influence in our universities is gaining traction through these large, obscene gifts or grants. And recent statements from the Department of Education showed that during the last administration, there was almost this obfuscation or push to prohibit disclosure, or not go after when the universities didn't disclose that information to the public. And I think it's concerning because public trust in our institutions has really been declining since the China-born COVID pandemic. And the last thing anyone wants for our storied universities is to become pawns of foreign adversaries. That's the last thing any of us want. And I also agree with the notion that students that want to come and learn, obviously, we need to, that has historically been, we have offered that opportunity, and we shouldn't just cut that off without really examining specifically if there is malign influence in our university. And Dr. Wood, you talked a lot about the extraordinary funding of our top research institutions where they take money from the CCP specifically. You said UCLA receives $129 million, Yale receives $410 million, Harvard receives $630 million. By the way, again, this is illegal in the state of Florida. No serious person can see those numbers and not understand that these universities can be influenced. Specifically, understanding that unlike in America, Chinese, in their universities, they understand, they fully enmesh their universities into the People's Liberation Army. I think there's highly concerns that some of those coming over here that are being embedded in research, that information gets spirited away to CCP agents directly into the Chinese military industrial complex. And Mr. Singleton, You said that the CCP is in fact paying for students to come over and be embedded in our universities. So I want to go back to you, Mr. Woods, momentarily. Did you know that, we kind of pushed back on some of the Confucius Institutes, but did you know that in China they passed 2 laws that require all nationals, not just their students, but all nationals to cooperate with the CCP and provide information on demand?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
And you were kind of singling out some other nations that send students here that you think we shouldn't necessarily prohibit those visas. But do you think it's a problem when a foreign adversary, especially one that has been orchestrating ways to infiltrate, and I could tick off for you, Chinese student in America that has been caught stealing information, flying drones over our military bases over and over and over again, knowing that the laws are on the books in China that requires them to report back. And we've even had disclosures where they have been pushing them to provide information and report back, and they have. Does that concern you that we are still allowing this without further legislation preventing that?
It absolutely does. I think you framed this correctly by saying that the issue here is public trust. Americans at large understand that China is stealing our lunch. The only people who don't seem to understand that are the college presidents and trustees who see the money coming in and shrug and say, okay, that's good for us. I'm concerned, yes, that we are in a situation where the Chinese students are subject to state pressure to cooperate with their government. Even if they don't want to, they will. But they also are being regimented by the Chinese Students and Scholars Association, by the remnants of the Confucius Institutes, and a whole galaxy of other Chinese organized efforts to make sure that Chinese influence in America, not just on campuses, but in elections and everywhere else where they can get a reach, is proceeding pretty much unhindered.
I think, and Mr. Singleton said, some of this information, we could be actually helping China develop their nuclear program. That should put fear in every single one of us on this dais. I've proposed a Stop CCP Visas Act as long as these laws are outstanding in China to require cooperation by the students that they send and pay for to come here. But if we don't get smarter and wake up and start examining who we're inviting into this country, we are promoting our own demise ultimately. So thank you very much for being here, and I will turn it over at this time to Senator Alsobrooks.
Thank you.
Moments like this highlight how debates over national security and academic freedom often collide in congressional hearings. Lawmakers are weighing how to protect research institutions while still maintaining the global collaboration that universities rely on. The question now is where that balance should be drawn. What do you think about this exchange and the concerns raised in this hearing?